Hello and welcome. I am Raziel, and today I'm going into the Lost World Exodus for the last three reviews. I kind of was thinking about whether or not to do this, and honestly, I think it would be a good idea because the Lost World Exodus is a kind of expansion. And if you see Lost World Exodus, they can be used in Wild West Exodus as normal. It was kind of meant to be this thing that was a part, like an expansion onto Wild West Exodus, as far as I can gather, with new lore, new characters, new factions. Like the Empire has an entire posse you can get, the Crown has an entire posse you can get, and unfortunately they kind of stopped at the Commonwealth, where you can only get the one model for them, and the Union has one extra model as well. The Enlightened has a whole posse and a legendary as well to go with them. They have the Soul Hunters posse. So there was plans to expand it out into the Lost World, and the Lost World is based in Antarctica. It's all around the Vault, and it's actually quite interesting. And I'd really like to see Wild West Exodus, War Cradle expand upon this even more because it did really look promising. And with that, you got the Crown, like I said, and they got two of their own characters. I was tempted to do legendary Rene Namu. Reason I didn't, and real reason I didn't do this, is because on her box it says Outlaw. Even though she can be used in the Crown Posse, but on her box it says Outlaw, so I thought, you know what, that says Outlaw on there, don't want to confuse anyone. Things that have the Crown on the box is the one I'm going to do, and we have the Drum of the Nautilus. This is a great looking model. It's a really nice one. It's really well detailed. It was absolutely fun to paint and build. This really reminds me of why I like War Cradle so much, because you have this model. It comes in many parts. This is not like a single part model. It comes in many parts. I think it's one of the most parts I've seen for a model for War Cradle. I think I might have more, but this was such a fun build. And let's start with a silly complaint, and it is really silly. I've got to say it though. Unless you put this guy on rocks, this base is far too big. It really is. He looks lost on it, the poor dear. He really does. He's so tiny compared to this base. And I don't know why it's on such a big base. I think it's because he is actually quite powerful, so he needed the bigger base. But yeah, that's literally my only complaint, is just that base looks huge. And for clarity's sake, I have built and I have painted one of these. I painted mine blue, not this lovely sea green here. But as you can see, I love the fact that he looks like a Big Daddy from Bioshock as well. I think that was kind of what they were going for, which is, it's nothing bad. It's good to show your, what you like, and was inspiration on your sleeve. And I think he looks really cool. I like the fact he looks like a diving bell. He has like this periscope here as well. And this is the back. Sorry, I love this sort of like heating here. This is really cool look. This like the energy sources and stuff like this. The fact is, once again, we see what could be a very plain model, but it's got enough detail on it to make him look quite exemplary at the same time. His pose and everything is he's basically a deep sea diver. It's nothing really that big or that important to warrant it. He is what he is. He's a support model. He's got lots of little details like here. There's lots of embellishments on his sleeves and on his boots. Just these little things. But overall, he looks like something that is there to get a job done and get it work and all of that and nothing else. He's meant to be. He looks like a workhorse, and he shows off with all the rivets. Just that how the you got the piping here, which has extra support. Across here. And the fact is, this is a separate piece, but it fits so well. This is another thing I've always liked about War Cradle. Pieces like this never require, even though being resin, never require any form of bending or anything like that. They just fit nicely straight away. I have had so little issues with things like this. I love the claws. I just think this is a fantastic looking model. It's a really nice one. I like all these little details. And, there's lots of little scratches and dings where he's obviously exploring underwater. And and you got the little helmet here. Just so cool. I think this is a nicer looking model. As always, we look at the rules of the drum. As you can see, support, legendary, crown, outlaws, enlightened, automata, machine, mercenary, nautilus. Yes, lots of keywords. And as you can see, he can be used in the crown, in the enlightened and outlaws. So very so it's kind of cool. You can use him in so many different posses. Adding him to the Enlightened or an Outlaw or the Crown really will help you out. It's absolutely brilliant that he has these abilities. Always cool to see models that can be used in different armies, and one thing I've said before, War Cradle does this really well. And we just see it right here. He has a quickness of 4, of course he's big and heavy, so he's going to be slow. He has an aim of 4, which, yeah, so he's hitting on 6s, so a 40% chance of hitting there. Which actually is kind of well balanced. It sounds funny, because like, he's one of the worst shots I've seen for a long time, and he has a range of 15, but a -2 piercing, and a rate of attack is 3. You don't want him hitting on anything other than higher than 5s. He is going to be devastating with your shooting. And a -3 and a 3 pierce on his servo claw as well, with a fighting of 6, which means he's hitting on 4s, and a grit of 6 as well, which means he's going to save on 4s. So yeah, he is absolutely devastating. He's going to massacre anything. If he hits with his thing, a rate of fire of 3 and a -2 piercing, and making it brutal as well, yeah, he's going to hurt people. And he's got Galvanic. The stun and disorder qualities do not cause attribute penalties to be suffered by this unit, although they still count as having the condition. Yeah, so he still would be stunned and disordered, it just really doesn't do much. Forceful Strike, once during its activation, after making a fight check, this unit may spend 1 extra point to increase the piercing of melee weapon by -2 for that attack. That's just nasty. That's really nasty. Yeah, so this is a really cool durable. This unit may ignore the first point of piercing from an attack unless it has brutal, blast, or torrent quality. So he's going to be really pushed to really drop his grit down there. Drag, other ones have. Bunker, after activation, provided this unit does not make a move, action, and is not hunkered, against 1+1 grit and -1 aim for the remainder of the round. If this unit moves or becomes hunkered, it loses this grit bonus and aim penalty. So he can go up to a grit of 3 if he doesn't move, but he'll lose, he'll have to hit on 7s with this very devastating rotary harpoon gun. But it'll be definitely worth it, because he'll be if you can do that on an objective, you're going to really make sure that he isn't going to move. Given that, he's got the Galvanic there, and he's durable, he is going to be a he is going to be a objective holder for you guys. An extra large based unit, this unit has a size 4 base and can never be hunkered and ignores the fatal quality. That is really nice. This is such a cool model. I think it's a nice model. It really is. He has some really cool rules, and he's really worth getting. He's quite large himself. Like I said, I have painted and built one of these, and at £22, he's well worth your pennies. And if you wish to get this guy, I always sound like I'm advertising after I spoke so highly of a model. I really do, and it's not meant to, because these are honest reviews. I'm not getting paid just to review. If I literally only get it if you buy it, sort of thing. Like, if you spend money at Railing Games, is the only way I get money. So I do try and make this feel not so much as an advert, but it's a fantastic model. And if you want to get him, he is available at Railing Games for £22, which means you actually don't have to pay delivery for him either. Great. And so we have that, and it's free delivery after £20, like I said, and up to 20% off Wargaming. Great place to go. It's where I go for all my models now. It's actually kind of tempted me to go back to Games Workshop as well, believe it or not. For Win and Planet as well, for comics, games, manga, merchandise, all about really cool, geeky stuff. Talking about merchandise, my merchandise, t-shirts, comics, t-shirts, books, notebooks, blah, and everything else. There is my comics as well. There is for Skyforge. Never forget Skyforge, because he's a good friend of mine. And, of course, Patreon.